Hello and welcome everyone to the A&AB interview series. A&AB has started this series in order to provide young professionals and students another avenue of insight into the finance and accounting industry, networking tips, and mentorship, just to name a few. For those who don't know what A&AB is, we are the Analyst and Associate Board, and our organization's goal is to connect young professionals and students with our financial executives of FEI. We strive to bridge the gap between industry professionals and young professionals by giving out scholarships, hosting social networking events, hosting events like these, and many other initiatives. If you would like more information on FEI or A&AB, please make sure to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And now for today's interview, we have the honor of speaking to Larry Kaufman. Larry, among many things, is an author, speaker, business leader, powerful connector, and a giver. Larry currently is the Regional Managing Director for the Midwest region at Jefferson Wells. Throughout his career, Larry has given many speeches on topics such as risk management, organizational leadership, networking, and so on. Larry is also a best-selling author of the book, The NCG Factor. In his book, Larry talks about the power of connecting and when networking, connecting, and giving collide to make a powerful formula of turning anyone's personal and business relationships into something life-changing. So without any further ado, let's talk to Larry. Larry, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I'm so underdressed today.
Oh no, you for sure dress more than I am, sir. I'm actually working from home, so a little different, but we're really glad to have you, and looking forward to talk to you.
Thank you.
So to start off for our audience, can you please tell us a little about yourself and what you do and your background?
Sure. So I'm currently, as you referenced, the Regional Managing Director for Jefferson Wells. We're part of Manpower Group. It's a $22 billion publicly held company. So I own the P&L, I run sales and operations, and we're a professional services firm focused in the areas of accounting, finance, tax, risk advisory, and business optimization.
That's awesome. Regarding your book, how did you come up with the idea and the motivation to write a book like the NCG Factor?
Well, I think the motivation was people like yourself and participating in the group and having been a speaker, to help folks that are, in college, at the onset of college, frankly, all the way through retirement with, understanding how best to build relationships and life-changing relationships. The inspiration was just realizing I was a poor networker. I was poor at building relationships. I was self-centered. I was all about myself when I was in college. I don't know if that resonates. Probably not. You're
Oh,
probably
absolutely.
much more intelligent than me, but I was about me, and I wasn't thinking about giving. I wasn't thinking about mentoring other people, helping other people. And when you go through that and you see what an impact it has when you actually help other people, you realize, wow, that's great. So how do I share that? So I thought I'd write a book, and I really thought it was just going to be to help the kids in college. And then I realized that I could help people just graduating, mid-career. It was actually an FEI event where I realized it was even into retirement because a woman was signed up at my event. There was over 100 folks there, and she was one of the first to arrive. And I said, "Were you a CFO?" And she said, I'm not. I'm retired. I said, "What are you doing here?" I'm here to figure out how I could be a good connector in my retirement and use tools like LinkedIn, which I talk about in the book. So, that was kind of the inspiration for writing the book.
That's great to hear. And no, for sure, like when I first got into college as well, I mean, I can for sure relate with the things you're talking about because the mindset is so different. And especially like being in the business world, you have to really quickly learn how to, adapt. And that's for sure relatable. As you talked about, what are some of the most important aspects in relationship building? And if LinkedIn plays a role in that, if at all?
Well, LinkedIn gives you the power where I could go and research you and how we're connected, if we share connections in common that I can actually talk to about how they know you and learn more about you. So I think LinkedIn's a great tool to research the people you're going to meet with. And I encourage everyone at the onset of their career to seasoned professionals to use LinkedIn to research the people you're meeting with and, understand who you share in common. So I think, that's really, what I deem important, how LinkedIn is helpful. It may not help you build the relationship completely. It's going to give you insight into the person. The best way to, build a relationship, frankly, is to learn about that person you meet with, what you see in their profile. And outside of, I think too many of us are so business focused. We don't take the time to say, so tell me about your family. Tell me about, you know, um, how you've been impacted. Today we're talking about, the pandemic, so how has that impacted you with distancing, with your family, with work, but really just getting to know people and finding out where their challenges are personally, professionally, and trying to offer to help them, whether it's giving of your knowledge or giving of your network. And that's really a great way to start, no matter what level of experience you're at. It doesn't matter if you're right out of college, you still can ask to help people. Just asking to be helpful and how you could help is a great start.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are there any challenges that, let's say I'm a student at, a university, and I'm trying to connect with people from my industry? When, I've heard from a lot of peers in my workplace and in college that it's hard to reach out on LinkedIn and kind of that cold calling style. What are some challenges, I think, and what are some solutions that students and young professionals can deal with when reaching out to people they want to reach out to on LinkedIn?
Well, I would say I would start with your professors. If I was in school, I wish I can go back. And I had some favorites. I had a great one in accounting. It was cost accounting, and I learned so much, and I hated. It's hard to say that, but I hated accounting. And I've been in public accounting, and I'm in that world today. But
Mhm.
I can't be someone that delivers those solutions. But I would say it's really been powerful to get to know your professors and ask them for some help getting into those industries and some direction from them, because a lot of your professors are adjunct, are actually working in industry. So I
Yeah,
think we negate them and we don't think about them, but I can go back in time, I definitely would. I would say as well, you'd be surprised looking at people you want to know on LinkedIn that are second degree. You can find pathways to people that align with people you'd like to know. And if you can't, you know what, I think people appreciate if you say, look, I'm in college, I'm trying to get a jump start on my peer group here. I really, am impressed with your profile. Send them a note and tell them what you think about them and how impressed you are and you're seeking help. Can they help you? Be hard to turn that down.
absolutely, for sure. When kids, when students do reach out and they do get responses, we've all had this experience where, half the people respond with, they're willing to talk to you, and half the time you get a response, but you don't really get to schedule a call with people. Are there any important, aspects that you think are that students can look at and say, you know what, this person is someone that I can identify as connecting with? And how can students kind of pinpoint people that are going to go more than that are going to take that extra step of actually speaking with the students?
Sometimes you can tell by someone's profile that maybe it's a very robust profile. They've got a good network of 500 plus.
Mhm.
And some of the language they use in their profile may signify that they do like helping others,
Right.
or they're a paid member and you could see the little LinkedIn logo in their headline box. They're paying for membership, so they get networking and building relationships. I think reaching out to people like that is like sells. It's like selling, and you're selling yourself. You're trying to build a connection, and don't take no first time around. But I would be well thought out what you're trying to accomplish, because far too often I get very vague. Love to connect. I'm really impressed with your profile.
Yeah.
And I think you really need to set yourself apart and create almost like a great solid business case in 300 characters or less when sending an invite why you want to connect.
Yeah.
or invest in a paid membership on LinkedIn, and you could send an email, unlimited character count, and send a pretty detailed, robust message. But remember, people don't want to read a lot of stuff. They don't want to be sold.
Mhm.
So you have to be smart and creative, but it really is leveraging relationships. So if you're still in college, I'd say I'd be going back to all the professors around you and look at your alumni network on LinkedIn. People in your profession. That may be a faster, easier path too.
Do you have any thoughts on people using those services that give out, email addresses and you like CRM services essentially, and people just kind of mass email people in different companies? Do you think that's an effective way, or do you think LinkedIn should be the primary way?
Well, I think you try different things. What I say a mass email, but you could use a service to get someone's email, so at least it's not going to a Gmail or AOL and they don't check it, but it's going
Right.
right to company email. But to use a mass mailing approach, there's going to be different schools of thought. My school of thought is you have to cultivate relationships, and if you come off too salesy or it looks to me like I'm getting a mass email, I ignore those.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Looking ahead in the future, obviously with COVID going on, things have changed a lot. We might have been doing this interview in person, but obviously with COVID, it's everything's switched over to Zoom now.
Right.
In terms of networking and relationship building, how much of an impact in a negative way do you think it has had on that? And what do you see the future like for networking?
That's a great question. So it's been good and bad. The good is people have more time to do it because we're not commuting, we're not flying like we used to. My T&E, for my team, myself,
Mhm.
it's nothing. And so I think people have more time to do it. And I think people are more receptive because you don't have to be touchy feely. You don't have to go commute and drive somewhere or be embarrassed about eating or dietary restrictions. And so I think it's easier to do a virtual. Now, do you feel like you're cultivating the relationship? I don't think it's been too bad. I think it's kind of interesting to see people in their home environment like yours with the like curtains in the back, and so it's interesting to see people actually loosen up, dress down. I'm dressed up, but people, you see them in their home environment where someone comes in the door while you're on a virtual call, and it humanizes them. So I would say it's definitely going to change. I think it's definitely going to open people up to saying, you know what, let's just do a virtual call, where before it'd be like, yeah, let's meet. So I think more will lean to pushing you to a virtual than a live, but I think it's more plausible to get people. And if people push back, it's like, look, you don't have to commute. We could talk longer, so you're not walking anywhere. You're not even leaving one room to another.
Yeah.
So afford me 45 instead of 30. And so I don't think it's as bad as people play it out to be. That's my personal opinion.
No, I totally agree with that, and I just think the amount of networking you can get done, just with online calls, and instead of going to meet a person and going to meet the individual in person, it could be a lot more productive to do a bunch of networking calls over a phone or over a Zoom call. So I totally agree with that. On the flip side of the table now, what do you think that individuals that are in the C-suite, what do you think that they're not doing that they should be doing in terms of relationship building?
Well, you know what, the C-suite, and what I've often found, because I do a lot of programs around, people in transition, the C-suite, and I could say, because we're more aligned with FEI, a lot of CFOs, controllers, treasurers, they find networking and building relationships when they're in transition. And those that have been through that most learn from that experience that they need to keep doing it and continue. But there's still some that don't. They network, connect, get the job, and they back burner that process again. And so I think the C suite, there's also a handful of people working that don't network and build relationships and assume that they are resilient, and nothing's ever going to happen until it's too late, and they've got to start from scratch, which is really not recommended. So the C-suite should be going out there and giving of their time and mentoring, coaching, and many in FEI do that, which is just awesome to see. And to have them, take those networking meetings, cultivate trusted advisor relationships, peer-to-peer relationships, because you're going to need them for yourself or for other people in your family and your inner circle. And so I think we can all learn from this time and take those meetings and not say no. You have the time, make the time, and it will pay off so many times over and over from now till and beyond the time you retire.
Absolutely, for sure. Lastly, Larry, do you have any other tips that you can offer to our audience and students that are starting out in college now, or people that are about to graduate?
So now is a great time to give, and you could give with your knowledge. You could also volunteer with charities, join junior boards. What a great way to build relationships, and there's causes that you're passionate about.
Right.
I would say, start cultivating those professor relationships. If you haven't, say, hey, look, I've been remiss. You were an awesome teacher. Can I get 30 minutes of your time? It's never too late to start cultivating those relationships. And those around you, if you've got siblings, successful parents in business, it's okay to ask them, can they introduce you to their network? And so build those relationships, build those networks, come out of college or while in college with 500 plus in your network on LinkedIn. That's going to benefit you for a long, long time in your business career. So connect, keep connecting, build relationships, ask people how you could help them, because you're going to need favors when you're looking for those jobs and even when you land. So I hope that's helpful.
Absolutely. Well, Larry, it's truly been an honor just speaking with you and learning a lot from you. And I'm sure our audience can take out tips from this interview and use them in their own careers. So thank you again for taking time. And lastly, where can people get your book, The NCG Factor?
So right on Amazon, they can find my book, and they can find me on LinkedIn in all caps in Chicago at Jefferson Wells. So thank you. It was wonderful speaking with you, and look forward to a prosperous and safe new year.
Absolutely, Larry. All the best to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.